Good evening, everybody. It's Friday once again. Welcome to the Man Cave. Brother Jeff, glad you could be with us tonight. And Tanya, how is everybody?
Doing good.
Tanya,
Oh,
let's have a
great.
drink. Ryan, glad you could make it. I'm going to have a little bit of this Knob Creek single barrel tonight. It's going to pop. Oh, yeah. Tanya, you drinking with us tonight?
Ginger ale.
Ginger
Woohoo.
ale. Okay. Well, that'll work. I know you got to get up early in the morning.
I do.
So, Brian, glad you could make it. Let me get popped over here where I can see the comment window. Beth's with us, Ed, Andy, Russ. Good deal. We're off to a good start with some of our regulars up here this morning or this evening.
Ooh, a Yeti question?
Let's hear it.
Yeah. For me?
Russ is having some red wine. Let's see what Brian's Yeti question is. I didn't know Tanya was a Yeti. A Yeti. I got a fly. Where's that fly coming from? It's trying to get my bourbons. What's happening?
Yeah.
Maybe Brian will post his question here quickly.
Go ahead and highlight some more comments while we're waiting.
Russ, glad you could be with us. Scott, glad you could make it. Andrew is in Mississippi. Okay. William McKenzie, a Pilsner from Treehouse Brewery this evening. Good deal.
Oh, here it is.
Uh,
Yes.
Brian, hers is not the hop. Your
Is it not the hop?
that bag you have is not called the hop. Maybe it is called the hopper. Uh, I don't remember which one it is I bought now or what the model number on it is. Let me look.
Well, I like the one I've got, and I got it in orange because it reminds me of Gerben, our favorite Dutch boy.
It's that one they call lobster. And yeah, this is the one we have, Brian, but it's not that color. Uh, I like everything about it too, except for you have to hold it open. It's when you're wanting to get things in and out of it, the thing's designed to stay closed, and you have to pull it open and kind of prop it open with your arm to get in and out of it. That's the only thing I don't like about that one. Uh,
Yeah, it
but
seals really tight. The
it does,
straps are
and
really handy.
it's a good cooler. But Brian, I have the Hall as well, and that's my go-to. It fits like when Tanya and I go to Costco or something. I'll throw that thing in the back of my car. It fits behind the back seat of my Subaru Crosstrek, and I can still close the hatchback on it. Uh, and it's got a lot of space in it, and it's got the wheels. It's easy to move. But Tanya uses that M30 to take stuff to and from school with her when she goes to work. If she's got more, we've got a hopper. It's the hopper 12. It's uh,
And I use that sometimes, if I'm taking like a smaller things, like maybe I'm just taking up some milk for the cappuccino.
I got this guy. This is the
Yep.
the square, the hopper 12. I think that's called the 12, and it's good for most things. But when we need something a little bigger, that M30 is really nice. That M30 is capable of grocery store runs and whatnot pretty well. It's
And that's what I keep it in there for. And for what it's worth, and this may not be a consideration, but for me it's a consideration. It's easier to carry than the 12 hopper because it kind of fits better. Now the
it
12
does it
hopper
fits
just
up against the
sticks
side of your
out,
body better with the shoulder strap. So
which, that's important to me because, if I'm going to have to carry this bag, it's,
yeah,
being able to carry it and not have to stop 500 times because it just fell off your shoulder.
all right,
It's a positive.
yep.
John,
Hey,
Alex says hi.
hey, Alex. Looking
Hey,
forward to
Alex.
seeing you in June. Alex is going to be with us at Atlanta Grill Company. Awesome.
Hey,
All right.
graduates this month.
Yeah, nice deal.
That's
All right, Tanya,
fantastic.
I'm going to take you down. We'll bring you back up towards the end here. Good deal. Excellent. So Jeff's got a little cooking I want to show you guys. Jeff has a let me get this up here. And I apologize for these pictures not being oriented the way they should be because I failed to download these and put these into my stream the way I wanted to. Jeff, tell us about this brisket.
That's the brisket I made 2 weeks ago. That's using Myron Mixon's Hot and Fast. That's where you
Oh,
go 350,
right. So you
uh,
just seasoned it?
uncovered, and then cooked it.
No,
What would you
man,
say, John? I didn't catch you.
I'm not Ed. I'm not a Ford guy. But what you just seasoned this with some of the Myron Mixon rubs. You used his technique that he did in his video.
Right.
So you
That
seasoned.
has the steak and the wild game.
Mhm. So then, of course, you tossed it on the bark at 350.
Yep.
So
And let it ride for just a little over 2 hours till the bark started, setting up a little bit.
350
And
degrees. Is this what you had after 2 hours?
yep.
Okay. So
And then dropped it down in the pan and covered it in foil and let it go for another. Well, it took 3 hours for it to go probe tender.
okay. So at
And
this point, you put it in a pan, covered it with foil.
yep.
Did you put any liquid in with it?
Nope.
Nope. And the
Just
reason yours
just
took 4 hours, where Mixon's took three, you said.
yeah, because that end point was super thick
Well,
on this particular one.
Myron was also working with that gold grade Wagyu brisket, which would have gotten there
Yeah.
quicker probably. So after that, after you did get probe tender, you wrap the brisket up. You wrap that foil pan up in a towel
Yep. 4 hours.
and let that sit just like that for 4 hours, not in a cooler or anything.
Nope.
Okay. And then
He
here's what it
uses a
looks
big
like.
moving blanket.
Yeah. And here's what it looks like after you rest.
Well, that's after I separated the point from the flat,
Right.
and
So here's your
then you rub the bottom side of the point that you just cut off with the
right.
same rub, and you put it back on for another hour.
Yeah.
And then when you pull it off, you sauce it, and cut it up, and you're missing a picture.
Well, it's in here somewhere. I just got to go back and find it.
Yeah, you're missing the final picture of the burn in all cut up.
Yeah, it's on here. I just got to get back to it. Like I said, I forgot to download these and put them in my queue. We were going to talk about these last week, is what happened, but then Eric decided he was going to come on with us, so I didn't get to talk about any of that. So here is the burn ends. Looks good.
Yep.
How were the burn ends?
Yeah, it came out real good. They came out really nice and moist. Had a real good flavor to them. Matter of fact, I like the burn ends better than the flat. Usually I'll slice the flat up, use half of it, and then I'll chop the other half up and save it over for cottage pie.
Yeah. I'll tell you something. I don't do burn ends. I avoid burn ends with brisket most of the time because I know people love burn ends, but I love that point, and I'd rather have my slices out of the point. I
Yeah.
love.
Well, I agree with you, but I wanted to follow his recipe, exactly to, run
Right.
it through and see how it is. Because actually, that was the first time I've ever made burn ends because I don't usually do it. I keep the brisket whole and do exactly what you do. That's the best part to slice.
Yeah, I like making if I want to do burn ends, I've experimented with burn ends with so many different cuts of meat. I've done burn ends with brisket. I've done it with the point and the flat. And the flat actually I think does a pretty nice job with burn ends if you don't over let them overcook. But I've done it with chuck
Hmm.
roast. I've done it with pork butt. Oddly enough, the pork butt I think does beautiful burn ends. If you just cube that pork butt, it makes great burn ends, and they're less expensive to make than brisket. And I think they're
Total
better
agreement
even
with
than
you,
the
John.
pork. Yeah, I think pork butt is a beautiful cut of meat to make burn ends with, and pork belly. I'm a big
Absolutely.
fan of the pork belly burn ends also, but it's not beef. It's different, but I am trying to reignite my passion for brisket, and I may be getting closer with some different cooking techniques that I've experimented with. I'm going to try the mixing technique. I was at Sam's Club last week, and they had their choice Angus beef briskets for 368 a pound, which is back down to about what I'm used to paying for them. So I'm probably going to get one and do a brisket cook sometime here soon. And what I'm thinking about doing, I don't know what I'm going to do. I haven't made up my mind yet if I'm going to try the mixing technique. I might. Um, we'll see. But I'm I don't know. I haven't eaten all of the last brisket I cooked. I've still got packages of it in my freezer that I need to cook.
Hmm.
I'll eat brisket and pulled pork and stuff at lunchtime. Sometimes during the week when Tanya's not here, since she doesn't eat that stuff, and I share some of it with my family as well. But that last brisket I cooked was so good, I wasn't really in the mood to give a whole lot of it away. You know how that happens sometimes. Every now and then,
Sometimes yeah, that really extra special cooking. You go, no, sorry,
yeah,
ate it
some
all.
Yeah, sometimes I don't mind giving away most of what I cook because I do give away a good bit of what I cook. But every now and then I come across something I say I'm keeping that. I'm not giving that away. And that last brisket I made was that was the first brisket I had cooked on the bark. I was so happy with the results I got. I decided not to give any of that. Well, I did give my mom a couple pieces of it, but
Yeah,
anyway,
I can't say enough good things about that bark. I mean, I have not had a bad cook come off that thing, and as you know, I've done ribs, I've done turkey, I've done chicken, I've done brisket, I've done butts, I've done pork bombs. I mean, I've done it all, and it's just
yeah,
that thing has been great.
Andy did a brisket on his new pellet grill. He's commented here. Andy bought. Let me see if I can remember now. Andy bought a. It wasn't a Green Mountain. The. Oh geez, Andy, I'm sorry. I can't remember the grill. Was it the? I don't remember which pellet grill he bought now, but I was excited for the fact that he had bought one. He bought Andy. Which pellet grill did you buy again? Refresh my memory. Uh, the
Silverback.
grill silverback. Okay, yeah. I I'm not familiar with that grill. That's one of the few pellet grills that's out there that I've not actually stood in front of. I've not had my hands on one of those. I haven't stumbled across a place that sells those yet, so I haven't seen them hands on. But what I have seen, I like. I think it's a pretty good grill, and I'm hoping you'll catch the buzz of enjoyment that Jeff and I have gotten from cooking on these barks. The bark, like I said, is my fifth pellet grill. I've had quite a few, and the bark is out of all the other ones I've had. Well, all the other ones I've had, the bark is my favorite for a lot of reasons. The the Traeger Timberline runs a very close second with the bark. The Traeger Timberline, but uh, I'm real happy with the results I'm getting on this bark. I've cooked on it a lot, and we're going to look at a rack of baby back ribs I cooked on the bark here in just a little bit. So, the first thing I want to talk about in my cooking that this actually happened last week. I had this really nice looking tri tip that I got from Porter Road. It was a 2 pounds, um, And the tri-tips that I've gotten from Porter Road, every single one of them has been off the hook in quality and results. I've never had a tri-tip from these guys that was subpar in any way. I've been crazy happy with them. This one, you can look at the marbling in that guy. It's just really nice. And this one has a particularly tornado shape. It's not quite shaped like some of the tri-tips I've had, but I treated this guy. You guys are probably, I'm probably sounding like a broken record by now, but I seasoned this guy the night before I planned to cook it. And I was showing off the Atlanta Grill Company Argentina steak, which is our Atlanta Grill Company's May rub of the month. So I seasoned it liberally with the Argentina steak, and I vacuum sealed it. I actually seasoned both sides of it. I didn't show a photo here, but I scored the fat cap on the back, seasoned the back, and put that guy in the refrigerator overnight. And the next day I got it out, and I decided this time, since I hadn't done a cook on the PK grills lately, I was going to cook on the new PK 300 Aaron Franklin model. So I fired up a bin of charcoal and set my Franklin up for a hot and a cold zone. Got a really nice hot bed of coals going there because I'm going to sear this guy first. So here's what it looks like after I took the vacuum seal bag off, and then I just tossed this guy on over the fire. So you can see here where the backside is, how I scored that fat cap and seasoned it. But I seared the top side of it first, and I just flipped this guy several times during this cook. I flipped it 2 or 3 times and kept it moving so I could get a nice char going. And that's after the first flip. And, I just flipped it again and flipped it again, and I just kept this thing moving. And I spent a total of about 6 or 7 minutes searing this thing because I was really hot. I had like I said, a really hot bed of coals going there. So I just kept moving it around until I was happy with what it looked like. And this is about the point where I'm pretty happy with the way the outside of this guy looks. So at this point, I took it off the direct coals. I moved it to the indirect side of the grill. I closed the lid on the grill and I choked down the vents because this is going to get hot in there. My indirect cook here is going to be at about 350 degrees or better. And I want to keep this at a medium rare cook. I don't want to let it go beyond medium rare. So this is going to cook quickly in there. So after I got it up to about 115 degrees internally, I pulled it off and wrapped it in foil and set it aside. And then I just put my iron pan over the coals and let my iron pan get hot. I wanted to make a sauce to go on this tri-tip because, once again, guys, a good sauce takes everything to the next level. So I let the pan get hot. I tossed in a stick of butter, a whole stick of 8 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And it's kind of hard to see here, but I put about a tablespoon or maybe a tablespoon and a half of that Atlanta Grill Company Argentina steak seasoning into this butter. And I let the butter come up to a simmer to where it's bubbling away. And then I tossed in some sliced baby Bella mushrooms. And I let the mushrooms cook down for a while until they got about what you see here. They're giving up some of their liquid. And then I tossed in some garlic. I had about 1 or maybe 2 cloves of coarsely chopped garlic, and I let that stay in there until it became fragrant. And then I tossed in a splash of bourbon to give it some flavor, and I let that bourbon reduce a little while. And once the bourbon had reduced to my liking, I started adding heavy cream and just stirring that with my wooden spoon until I got a consistency I was good with. And so what we have here is what I would call a bourbon cream sauce with mushrooms in it. And this is what I was talking to Chef Eric about last week. If you remember at the end of our stream last week, I was asking about this sauce because this kind of sauce is only good right now, right here. It goes straight from here onto the food. It's not going to keep, and it won't reheat well. It'll break. The sauce will break and it'll become runny and messy. So this kind of sauce, and I was asking Eric if there was a trick to having this sauce maintain its consistency, and there really isn't the way this one's made. So anyway, the sauce is hot. My uh, tri-tip's done to a nice medium rare. So I pulled my tri-tip off. I sliced that tri-tip up and I drizzled that sauce over it. And guys, this is crazy. It's really good. This video's online. This was last week's Atlanta Grill Company video. So it's on their Facebook page and on their YouTube channel. If you want the details of how I made that, you can watch the process. But this tri-tip was delicious. And while I was talking,
That's one of my favorite sauces there, John.
yeah,
That's an absolute rich sauce for a steak.
yeah. Okay, it was who? Oh, Russ said he's cooking one from Porter Road on. He cooked one from Porter Road on Sunday that came out really well. So Russ is backing me up on the Porter Road tri-tip. They're not cheap. That tri-tip's $42 or $45. It's expensive per pound, but it's one of those things that it's worth it, especially if you want to make a meal to impress. This is the kind of cut of meat you want to do that with. And yeah, Jeff, I've been playing with these cream sauces for quite a while. I've been doing a lot with them. I like to make a sauce like this, similar to this, on seafood as well. There's a lot you can do. This is not a traditional sauce that somebody would make to go on beef, and I don't know. I may have stepped out of a lot of comfort zones there by putting this on, but this is good.
Yeah,
And
that's good sauce.
it is, and it would be good on pork. It would be good on, but it is a savory sauce, even though there is a sweet element there with the bourbon, and that bourbon comes through here. It's you can definitely get the sweetness from that bourbon, and you could leave the mushrooms out of this if you wanted to, but I like the umami that the mushroom brings. And Anurag, glad you could make it with us tonight. I'm looking forward to meeting you in June as well. So that's the first cook that I wanted to run through this week. There's just another picture of the same thing, and I was really happy. I didn't give any of this away either. I ate some of that at work over the weekend, last weekend, and really good. Even though the sauce loses its consistency, the flavor's still there. It just doesn't look nice reheated. So, oh boy,
That is a sauce. It's one and done. You
yeah.
don't want to have any left over.
This is why I hate the fact that I don't have access to a stove at work. If I had a stove at work where I could, with this sauce comes together. If you've got a hot burner, this sauce comes together in 5 minutes. It's very quick to make this sauce. If you've got your prep done and everything's sitting there ready to go, this comes together quickly. So, well, yep, I seem to have put a whole bunch of photos of that in here. So the next project I did, I wanted to. We talked a couple weeks back about the Chilean sea bass, the one that I did. Well, I had two Chilean sea bass fillets. I was going to make video out of one of them, and I ended up not doing it. I made an experimental cook. I'm still playing with this Otto Wild broiler, and I decided I was going to cook the other Chilean sea bass on this broiler because I am still this broiler has been a challenge for me to learn to use, but I'm getting good at it. I've cooked enough on it now that I'm starting to feel fairly comfortable with it. So there's my Chilean sea bass fillet, and I made this for lunch one day last week. And all I did was I put it in the pan. I drizzled a little olive oil on it, and I seasoned it once again with this Atlanta Grill Company Argentina steak. I could have used the River Street Seaboard, but I decided to use that, and it was a good choice. It worked well, and it just goes to show that just because a rub says steak on the bottle doesn't mean you can't use it on a whole lot of other things. It came out really well here. So, I didn't over season this. I seasoned. I would consider that to be a light seasoning because I didn't want to bury the flavor and goodness in that fillet with a lot of external flavor. So The pan's cold. I did not preheat the pan. So I put this guy in the broiler, and I had the broiler running on high because my objective on this is I wanted to sear the top of that sea bass, but I wanted to sear it to the point where it had a crunch at the top level only. And I was able to achieve that. So I kept my eye on it. I kept looking at it. I kept moving it up and down under the broiler, trying to see what was going on. And Anurag, no, this was a skin on fillet. And because of that, I didn't eat the skin because I didn't cook the skin to an edible texture. So you can see here in this video that it's starting to kind of brown up on top. And here it is close to being finished. And this is what I ended up with. This is what it looks like when I decided to pull it off. So it's got a nice browning on it. And the good thing about Chilean sea bass is it's got such a high fat content or oiliness to it that you can take Chilean sea bass to a higher temperature than you would most other fish. And I ended up taking this one to somewhere between 150 and 155 internally to get that texture I wanted on the outside. And it was fantastic. It was phenomenal. And Anurag, I probably should have put that in there skin side up. I could have crisped that skin under this broiler and then flipped it and cooked the rest of the fish where that skin would have been edible. But in this particular cook, I didn't eat the skin because I did not cook it to a texture where I would eat it. So I just ate all the meat off the top of the skin and left the skin behind. But it was crazy. It was delicious. And once again, this was a 2-pack of Chilean sea bass fillets that I picked up at Costco. Jeff, have you ever bought those at Costco before?
No, I haven't bought them there yet. Every time I go, they're always out of them. So,
well,
one of these days
that's why I bought one when I did, because that was the first time I had seen them at Costco. I'm not used to seeing them there. So, and I looked through every packet they had, and the thing that bothered me is every package had 2 fillets in it, and just about every package they had one that was nice and thick and one that was horribly thin. And I looked through every one they had to try to find 2 that were close to the same consistency on both. And the first one I cooked that I showed you a couple weeks back was the thicker of the 2, and as you can tell, that fillet was down from the lower end of the fish because you know how it tapers off down near the tail. It's that one's not quite as thick, and I like big, thick sea bass fillets. That's the thicker you can get it, the better you're going to be, the more appropriately you're going to be able to cook it, especially if you're going to cook it under a broiler. That crispness that I had on top was really neat. I could take my fork and tap on it. It would tick, you know, it had a crust on it that was very unique, and it's not something you typically see on a fish fillet, but with this broiler, I was able to get that. And I'm going to experiment some more with that. And when I get that process down pat, I'm going to make a video of that, because you probably can pull this off. You may be able to pull this off in a regular oven broiler. I don't know. I guess it depends on what kind of broiler you have. That broiler, that Otto Wild, is not like any other broiler I've ever cooked under. It's hot. It touts temperatures of 1500 degrees at the broiler, and I can get the surface of that fish up within an inch of that infrared broiler, and it's hot. It's the reason you haven't seen a lot of video cooking on that yet is because I've burned a lot. I've burned a lot of stuff under that broiler simply because I'm still learning how to use it. So it's one of those things. Jeff, have you broiled?
Well, like I say, when we use that in the restaurant business, we used it for the prawn. Yeah, I mean, like I say, we used to do it all the time in the restaurant, but you started it off in there. You got your level of brownness that you wanted, and then you threw it in the oven to finish it off. You didn't use the broiler for the whole cook.
Well, See, what I'm supposed to do in this
No.
one is get that top the way I want it with the grill moved up right under the broiler. And when I get that level of crust that I want, what I'm supposed to do then is lower it down and then turn the intensity of the burner back. And I'm still learning that process on this and learning how to tame it, because it will tame, and I can turn that broiler way back to a lot less intense flame. And I don't have to have both. There's two broiler burners under there. I don't have to have both of them going, which I'm going to play with it some more. But I really like broiled seafood, whether it be shrimp, fish, or whatever. So we're going to see some more of that.
Yeah.
Once again, guys, my favorite, and I think maybe Jeff's now also, baby back ribs come from Walmart.
Yep.
I know it may be a shame to say
Never
that,
thought I would say that.
guys. If you go to Walmart, look in their pork case where the ribs are, and look for these baby back ribs. Thumb through the stack. It says extra meaty or something.
They'll say extra meaty on them.
Package, but look through all of them, because they're not all created equal. And when you find one that weighs 5 pounds or more for that one rack, buy it. That's what I've been getting. So
Get
Tanya
it.
told me last week one day. Tanya said, you need to fend for yourself for dinner. So I'm gonna be late getting home. So I said, I'm gonna cook some ribs. So I picked up this rack of ribs. Really nice, insanely meaty rack of baby back ribs. I didn't even bother trimming this one up any. I just said, screw it. I'm going to season it and I'm going to throw it on there. So I seasoned this guy up with the Myron Mixon Rub-A-Dub rib rub, which turned out really good. It's the first time I've tried that rub. I was really happy with it, especially with the color it produced. So I seasoned it. I let it sit for a while, and I wanted to try something a little different with the Mixon. I put it in for an hour at 200 degrees. I put it on here at 200 degrees for an hour on the Mixon, so I could get some good quality smoke to it at a lower temperature. And then after an hour, I ramped the temperature up to 350 and let it go for another hour and a half. I get 90 minutes. So, and at that point, I put this guy in foil. And before I put it in foil, I drizzled the other side of it, which I don't think I took a picture of it. I didn't. I drizzled the top side of it with some of that barrel-aged hot honey, the red clay hot honey from Atlanta Grill Company. I don't have that sitting out here, or I'd show you that bottle. And what else? I just used the hot honey at that point and drizzled it over the top of that and put it in the foil, meat side down, and put it back on the Mixon for another hour. And at that point, I took it off. This is about what it looked like, but I put some of the Atlanta Grill Company sweet sauce on it and basted that on and put it back in the smoker here. And here's what it looks like right before it went back on. I put it back on there and let that sauce tack up to what you see right here. And then I pulled that guy off and let it rest for just a few minutes. This guy's got a beautiful color, a beautiful glaze. There's that hot honey, that red clay. I've got a regular barrel-aged hot honey or a regular barrel-aged honey and this hot honey from Red Clay, and they're both amazing. I really like both of those. But this rack of ribs looks great, especially with the color. And I sliced this guy up, and they were perfect, the texture here. So I've got the total cook time I had on this was the hour at 200 degrees and then an hour and a half at 350. So that's 2.5 hours total, and then another hour. So I'm at 3.5 hours. And Scott, you're looking for tenderness on these once again to tell that they're ready. After I had them in the foil, I checked them at about 30 minutes. I checked them at 45 minutes, and I checked them at an hour for the level of tenderness that I like in the ribs. And at the hour mark, I had that level of tenderness. So that's when I took them off, put the sauce on, and put them back in there for maybe 10 or 15 minutes uncovered to let that sauce tack up. So it's always looking for tenderness. You'll get in trouble more frequently on ribs if you're cooking to a temperature, because these ribs will get to a temperature that says, hey, I'm ready, before they're actually tender enough. And if you're going to that temperature I've had a lot of ribs that are tough that were undercooked, even though they were at a temperature where you think they might be ready. They might have been at 200 or 202, 203. And a lot of people will pull them off, but they'll get to that temperature, and sometimes they need to stay there for a little while to get the level of tenderness you're looking for. Ultimately, for me, the ultimate test of tenderness is if I've got some pullback on the bones, and you'll be able to see the bones exposed. I want to be able to take one of those bones and pull that bone out of there, just like you'd pull a scapula bone out of a pork butt, and it come out clean. For me, that's good. I'm not one of these guys that I'm not looking for competition style texture. I could care less if my ribs are fall off the bone. I'm happy with that. I don't know. Beth, the bend test is something that's hard to judge by, in my opinion. It works, but a lot of times if you pick up a rack of ribs with a pair of tongs from the middle and try to pick them up like that, they can fall apart on you. And there's a very, 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 very fine line between not passing the bend test and then them falling off. You'll end up with
Collapsing.
one rib. You have one rib on your tongs there, and two halves of it are going to fall off on you. So I don't use that technique. It's just as easy for me, and it should be for everybody, to use your temperature probe as a tenderness probe. Feel it. Feel the resistance of that meat when it feels tender, when it feels like a pork butter. Like the analogy I like to give people is peanut butter. When you stick your temperature probe into a jar of peanut butter, that's the kind of resistance you're looking for. Very little resistance. And until it gets to that, they're not quite done yet. So,
John, bring that
and
picture back up.
ribs are quite forgiving. They're like a pork butt. They can handle the temperature. What are you looking
Okay,
at,
guys,
Jeff?
look at how thick those ribs are. That's baby back ribs there. That's over an inch of meat on those ribs.
And also, the best ribs
Pure
are at the narrow.
deliciousness.
The best ribs are at the narrow end of the rack. That's where that's where the meat's the thickest, down on those short bones.
Mm-hmm.
When I give ribs away, they come from that wide end. The short bones are the pitmaster's ribs. So I ate 3 or 4 of these ribs for dinner that day. Good.
But those things, those Walmart ribs, they're worth every penny.
Yep. Quick word about aiolis. I decided this month, Jeff and I talked about this. The Atlanta Grill Company sauce of the month is the bacon aioli. And I'm going to do something. I'm going to do a combination cook. Maybe this coming week, I'm going to do a burger of some sort. And I'm going to season the ground beef with the Argentina steak. And we're going to probably use some of the bacon aioli on it. And I'm thinking about maybe doing a mushroom and Swiss burger, Jeff. What do you think about that?
I think that would be excellent with that bacon aioli.
I'm thinking about doing a thick burger. I'm going to season. The reason I want to do a burger is because Monday, if you remember, I've got a big piece of chuck dry aging in my steak blocker, and I've got the other big piece of chuck in the refrigerator thawed out, ready to go. So I'm going to grind. I'm going to do a 50-50 mix of 21-day dry aged chuck and non-dry aged chuck to have some hopefully extremely flavorful and high quality ground beef. I'm going to get my grinder out and grind those and mix the two. And I'm going to use some of that to make some burgers with. But I'm going to make a brown gravy mushroom sauce. to go on the burgers that we'll do, and that's going to be a roux based sauce, guys. It's going to be like we're going to make a dark roux with butter and flour, and you know what, Jeff? Instead of butter, I might make that with beef tallow. What do you think?
Yep, that would good.
Make a roux with flour and beef tallow for this, and beef stock as the liquid, and then we'll saute some mushrooms to go in. Actually, I'll saute the mushrooms in the beef tallow, and then we'll add the flour to that, and then thicken that up with beef. We'll add beef stock to come up with our gravy, and I'll have a nice mushroom gravy, and I'll find some decent quality Gruyere somewhere, and we'll make a nice mushroom and Swiss burger, and we'll get some Kaiser. We'll probably get some Kaiser rolls, and I'm not going to make the rolls from scratch for this, and we'll use some of this bacon aioli on that, because this bacon aioli, in my opinion, a burger is where this particular aioli is going to shine. I've tasted this. There's so many things that an aioli is good for, and what an aioli is, if you're not familiar with that, is it's a flavored mayonnaise. And when I make my own aiolis, I typically make a 50-50 mix of mayonnaise and sour cream instead of just mayonnaise, because I like the firmer consistency I get from the mayonnaise and sour cream mix. But a typical aioli is going to have garlic in it, but it can be whatever you want it to be. And I've got the entire line of aiolis back here that we're going to see, and we're going to do stuff with throughout the summer. But Jeff helped me decide that we're going to use the bacon first, and this is good on a sandwich. It's good on a burger. It's also good as a dip. This is something I dip French fries in any day of the week. Jeff, what else would you dip in this? Would you dip wings in that?
You can, absolutely. Say that bacon aioli, that's probably one of, I think, the aiolis that I like the best. I mean, there's so many, the possibilities are unlimited with what you can do with that thing.
I've tasted, there's only one aioli that I haven't tasted. And for some reason or another, when I was at Atlanta Grill Company the last time, when I got this aioli kit, I didn't pick up the new one they've got. They've got a black truffle one. And I don't know why I walked out of there without that. I need that one. That's a new one that they've added. And that is also going to be a killer sandwich aioli. I can imagine the umami and the earthy sweetness that a black truffle is going to bring to something like a BLT. Man. Yeah, Anurag, this would be good on this would be interesting on a pastrami sandwich. It would be interesting. So
I don't know if I would go with that one or if I would go with the horseradish one on the pastrami sandwich.
Well, you could go either way. Let's see. What I'm looking at back here, guys, the aioli line has this bacon. They've got a hot wasabi sauce, which is technically not an aioli, a sriracha aioli, a buffalo ranch sauce. They've got one called an everything aioli, the jalapeno aioli, and a spicy chipotle sauce. So these all come in bottles like this. There's a lot of possibilities here. We're going to do some fun stuff with this. I'll figure it out as we go. So some of these aiolis, I've done a couple of steak videos where I do a reverse sear, and after the slow part of the cook, I'll rub the outside of that steak with a flavored mayonnaise or an aioli before I go to the sear, and that helps build a crazy flavorful crust on that steak.
The flavor.
Some of these aiolis would really be incredible there, and I'm thinking that sriracha aioli might be, and it might create an interesting steak. So, but anyway, I just wanted to mention that briefly. This week's video, I did a thing called a bacon explosion, and I've been thinking about this for a while, because the bacon explosion is something that was a fad sort of cook a long time ago, back when I first got into barbecuing and grilling. One of the things that was going on is everybody was doing these things called bacon explosions, or they're called sausage fatties. They're called a lot of different things in a lot of different circles, but in a nutshell, what this is a sausage log that's stuffed with whatever you want to stuff in it, and then it's rolled in a bacon weave and smoked. So I started mine out with 2 pounds of this Jimmy Dean pork sausage, and I put it in a gallon Ziploc bag and then flattened it out. I wanted to have a squarish, even consistency pat, or whatever you want to call that slab of sausage. So once I had that done, I got my bacon weave together. I just used, bacon, and I made it roughly the same size and shape as that Ziploc bag because I needed it to fit that. And then I seasoned the side. This is going to be the inside of the bacon. I seasoned it with a fairly liberal coating of my Atlanta Grill Company Man Cave Meals Pork Mojo. I gave it a good coating of that, and then I laid my sausage on there. And what you see on top of here now is some diced onion, diced jalapeno pepper, and another good shake of the, actually, let's see, there's diced onion, diced jalapeno pepper, uh, grated cheddar cheese. I had some of this smoked English cheddar that I grated and put on there, and then another good shake of the AP or the Pork Mojo rub. And once you have all that together, you roll that guy up so the bacon's exposed on the outside. So I had my Kamado Joe fired up, and we put this guy on there. What I didn't show here is I left a couple. There's a picture missing from this sequence. I put this guy on the grill. Here it's got sauce on it, but I put it on at 250 degrees, and my target is about 160-degree internal temperature on that. But when I hit about 130, I opened the grill up and I sauced it with some more of that Atlanta Grill Company sweet sauce. And another step I forgot to tell you is when I laid that sausage out there, before I put the onions, jalapeno, cheese, and rub on it, I smeared a layer of the Atlanta Grill Company sweet sauce on the inside of that sausage as well. So, but then I basted the outside of it with it near the end of the cook so it could tack up and form a nice sweet barbecue flavor on the outside of that. So here we have, once I got up to 160 degrees internal, I took it off the grill and let it rest on my cutting board here for about 10 minutes before I sliced it open. And when you slice it open, guys, this is what you have. And one of the things I did here, I haven't done a whole lot of these, and I went back after I did this and looked at the way some of the other people have done it, and I rolled mine up, and you can see here that some of my bacon rolled up onto the inside of this because of the way I rolled it. I noticed what a lot of people like to do, and it's perfectly fine to do it either way, is they'll roll their sausage log first and then roll the log onto the bacon weave where bacon is only on the outside. And the bacon, the way I cook this at 250, I wouldn't say that this bacon crisped up. I wasn't hot enough for the bacon to get crisp. But if you keep all the bacon on the outside and don't let it roll up into the log like I've done here, it'll get crisper. And you can also cook this a lot hotter than 250 degrees if you want to crisp that bacon up. I like to cook these at 250 so they can take more smoke. I like for these to have a nice smoky aroma and flavor. But if you cook this at 350 or 375, that bacon will crisp up a lot better. And do not use thick cut bacon. Use your regular bacon on this. But what you can do with this is a great breakfast item. And let me back up a few pictures here. When you this part right here, this this is the prep. If you wanted to make this for and serve this for breakfast sometime, do this part, get to this stage of the cook the night before, and then just wrap that guy up in saran wrap and throw it in the refrigerator. It'll be fine in the refrigerator overnight, and then all you got to do get up the next morning is cook it. And this guy at 250 took 2 hours. It took right at 2 hours for me to cook this one at 250. I would say if you went to 350, you'd bring this down into the hour realm. It would come down dramatically. But what the way you serve this, you could serve this any way you want, but the typical way people serve this is they'll slice down that log and serve this in slices. But the way I like this is I like to take a slice of that and put it on a biscuit. That makes an incredible biscuit. Jeff, have you done these before? Have
No,
you done a fatty
haven't
like
done it.
this?
No.
No. Well,
But I could see
you
where that would be
should.
really good with a fried egg on it, on a biscuit.
Oh yeah, you could fry an egg. Well, even if you could even ditch the biscuit and make that fried egg. And as I'm thinking here, Jeff, just thinking outside the box a little bit, the only part of that, there are two pieces of that recipe that I would say are not keto friendly. One of them's the barbecue sauce, and the other's the onions. And what you stuff that with, you could stuff that with absolutely anything you want. You can put whatever you want in there. You don't have to use what I used, and you could use some of the keto barbecue sauce that Jeff and I like if you want to make it a lower sugar content.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the pork sausage. That pork sausage may or may not fall into the keto realm. I bet it's sweet. So I'm giving my
I'm not
body.
sure.
I've given my body a
I'm,
couple of weeks of non-keto here. I've been low carb, but I haven't been keto for the last couple of weeks. I'm trying to do a little reset. So, uh, anyway, that's where we are on that. That's the cooking that has gone on since I last talked about cooking. I had a little bit of brief fun today. I have declared Fridays are going to be wood fired Fridays from here on out. I'm going to try to cook something on my wood fired oven every Friday. And I started this process today by making lasagna for dinner for Tanya and myself. So I wanted this lasagna to be quick and easy. No, Cindy, onions are not keto friendly. They're not. You can eat onions, but you have to limit how the quantities of onions because they bring a lot of carbs to the table. But I wanted to make
there's
a
only
quick
two
and easy.
grams of carbs, John, in the sausage.
Well, that's not bad. So the
Or
sausage is not
two
a
ounce,
problem.
2 ounce.
Yeah,
You know,
the onion has more carbs than the sausage does. So, but
yeah.
anyway, I wanted to make lasagna for dinner tonight, and I wanted it to be quick and easy. So, I like this particular lasagna noodle mainly, not necessarily because it's oven ready, but because they're flat edges. They don't have the little ripples on the edges. I like the flat noodles. So I bought some of those. I got a jar of this bolognese sauce. I absolutely love this. This is the sauce that I use when I make my keto crustless pizzas that I've done in the past. This is low carb also. And
Yep.
I got a container of ricotta cheese, but what you see here is not, I took the ricotta cheese out of the container and put it in a mixing bowl. I minced a big fat clove of garlic that would equal 2 regular cloves of garlic. I minced them on my microplane grater, and I put a pinch of salt in that, and I put some uh, Italian seasoning blend in it as well. So I put, and also there's an egg. When I use ricotta in lasagna, I like to get an egg in it to help it create the texture I like when it cooks. So I mixed all that up and then just put it
John, do
back
you
in the
use the whole
ricotta.
egg or do you use just the yolk?
I use the whole egg. You could use just the yolk, but I
I use
typically
just the
just
yolk.
talk. Yeah, I put the whole egg in this one. This stuff right here, guys, I have found something I absolutely love. This Italian herb seasoning grinder at Sam's Club. It's got thick, chunky herbs in it. The only thing I don't particularly like about this is it does have salt in it. So you got to watch that. But I love this thing because you turn it over and it works just like a pepper mill. You grind it and you get these herbs out, and I'm really excited. I've really used a good bit of this stuff. Well, I haven't used a good bit of it yet, but I'm using it, and I'm going to continue to buy this product. But that's the Italian herb blend I use. So I made the lasagna, and I used my Lodge loaf pan. I put a little thin layer of the bolognese sauce. Well, a little thin layer of the bolognese sauce in the bottom of the pan, and then put one of my lasagna noodles. Then I put my ricotta. I put some grated mozzarella, and then I put, let's see, meat sauce, a noodle. I'm losing my train of thought here. The ricotta and then the cheese, and then I layered that just like that all the way up to the top. And I did like 4 layers of that here, maybe 5. I don't remember. I didn't count them, but I wanted a good layer of cheese on top, and I wanted to put a bit more of that Italian seasoning blend on the top. Anurag, there's no ground meat here, but that bolognese sauce has some ground meat in it. It just doesn't have a whole lot. It's not a very meaty sauce, but there is beef in that bolognese sauce. So I had fired up my Alpha, and I cooked this guy on the Alpha oven. And I'm just, once again, guys, if you've not cooked under a wood fired oven, you don't know what kind of heat you get out of that. I started this out in there with foil on top because when you cook this in this deep, that loaf pan's 4 inches, or I don't know if it's 4 inches. I guess it's close to 4 inches deep. It's a pretty deep pan, so you have to it's got to be in there a while to let it cook through. So I started out with foil on top of this until I got the got the innards cooked, and then I took the foil off to let the top brown on this. And this is what we ended up with, and this is what Tanya and I had for dinner tonight. It was delicious. But it was a quick and easy. It's not Tanya's favorite. Let's get Tanya back. Tanya, this is not your favorite lasagna recipe, but how was it for something that can come together in 10 minutes?
It was pretty good.
Yeah, I might do something with this recipe down the road. What, Tanya, how would I make it better? What would it, I know I need to add a little bit of
You know, the answer is fennel seed.
fennel. Well, I thought about that. So if I added a little bit of fennel seed to that bolognese sauce, do you think that, or even maybe add it to the ricotta even?
I think
I
that
know
would be
that's going to
maybe
up the game.
a little bit of parsley,
A little bit
or
of what?
definitely a little bit of parsley.
Parsley,
Always, yeah, it makes it a little
parsley in
sweet.
the ricotta or on
Yeah,
top?
always put parsley in the ricotta,
Okay. Well,
and
I've
then
got.
I
We can do that,
always, of course, do the fennel because you know
right?
fennel and lasagna is just like, oh yeah,
Well, I didn't
tremendous.
add fennel. The bolognese sauce has some in it a little bit, and I didn't know if I wanted to add too much more. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you
but
don't want to get crazy with the fennel.
well, I don't know. I don't mind going crazy with the fennel because I think that's a definitive flavor in this stuff. It's a flavor that I like. It's for me, fennel seeds a lot like garlic. I don't know if you can have too much of that. I really like sausage that's got a lot of fennel in it. Like some of these breakfast sausages have a lot of fennel. A lot of a good Italian sausages got good fennel in it too. So
Hmm.
but anyway, that's where we end up. And guys, I'm not going to run long tonight. I promised Tanya I would not run long tonight because Tanya's got to get up early in the morning. Tomorrow is
Again,
Tanya's last day of work before she has the rest of the summer off. So uh, I'm looking forward to Tanya having a lot of time off because then we're going to get to start doing some of the things that we want to do this summer. Um,
yeah.
so guys, we're going to wrap it. If anybody's got anything quick question, Tanya, I'm gonna turn you loose so you can go ahead, and then I'll be back
Bye,
upstairs
everyone.
shortly. Thank you. So uh, yeah, Tanya's got to get up real early in the morning, so she's ready to call it a day. So uh, what have I missed here? Uh, Yeah, Cindy, I haven't had Trader Joe's sausage. I don't have a local Trader Joe's. My Trader closest one's an hour from here, so it's like everything. Costco's an hour from here. Trader Joe's is an hour from here. The Fresh Market's an hour from here. Uh, Whole Foods
Sunlight
is
is
an
an
hour.
hour from there.
Whole Foods is an hour from here. So, for those of you who might have noticed, I started a new live stream that I'm playing with. We did it last night, and I'm going to do it every other Thursday night for a while. Thirsty Thursday, we're going to talk about bourbon and beer and spirits and whatnot. But one of the things somebody asked me last night about moving this live stream to Thursday instead of Friday, and I got to thinking about that, and I don't think that's going to work for me. If you really think that Friday Night Live from the Man Cave should become Thursday Night Live from the Man Cave, let me know if that really would work better for you. I know during the summer months it's a little bit difficult. I know a lot of people got a lot of stuff going on, but uh, I don't think I can pull this off as well on Thursday night as Friday with my schedule. So we'll see. I'll think about that. But if you have any feedback for me on that, let me know. Leave me a comment or send me a direct message or whatever, and we'll talk about it. Uh, we'll see how that's panning out. So Jeff went to Atlanta Grill Company today. Jeff, what did you see anything new and amazing that I need to know about down in Roswell?
Well, they got some new uh, knives coming in. They got some more cookware coming in.
Okay,
So
knives.
you'll see all that in
That
June.
that's something I wanted to ask about because I saw on the vendors list. I saw two new knife brands. One of them was Kramer. Did I see Kramer on that
Yep,
list? Okay,
yep.
what was the other one?
I forget. I was talking to Jason about it today, and I can't
I'm
remember the name
excited
of it.
about
Anyway, he's
Kramer.
got two of them.
I'm excited about Kramer because Kramer is some great stuff. And don't get me wrong, guys. The Shun stuff that they've been carrying, I've got Shun and I've been using Shun here for a long time. Shun is beautiful, but I am excited about the possibility of getting my hands on a Kramer. I like Kramer. Kramer has a shape design that works better. Guys, I've got these big fat sausage fingers, and when I'm holding a knife, a short heel on a knife lets my knuckles rack the board when I'm rock chopping. I need one with a little higher heel on it. And the Kramer line has some of those, and I'm a lot more efficient with a knife with a deeper heel on it than the Shuns have. Shuns are also hard to sharpen. That steel, the Shun steel is quite brittle, and you have to be very careful with those knives. Every my Shun 8-inch chef knife that's a workhorse around here has got a couple of nicks in the blade that uh, just from extended use. And guys, I use it. Don't take that as a quality problem. I put a knife through a lot more work than the average person does. I use them all the time. I use a chef's knife every day in multiple capacities. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about seeing the Kramer stuff though. Uh, I saw a couple of vendors on there on that list that I hadn't talked about before, so I'm interested in seeing those. I don't remember what the other knife vendor was, but I remember commenting on it. So, what else is happening down there?
They're just getting ready for it, trying to figure out the logistics. Make sure because he's got the second warehouse. So anybody who buys a Kamado, he's going to send them over to uh, the other warehouse to pick it up. So he's got to man that, during the AGC event as
Right.
well. But
Yep.
everything's coming along good.
That ought to work
Eric's
out
got
well because
the menu all planned.
has Eric got the menu planned? You said.
That's what he told me.
Okay, good.
Yep.
I
So
want to talk to Eric. I'll get him. I want to see if there's any prep help I can help him with on Friday. I don't know what he's got going on or what he's planning to do. So he didn't know when we had Eric on last week. I talked to Eric during the day on Friday before our live stream. At that time, he didn't know what they were going to do. So I'll see if I can get some heads up on that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you guys some of you I've never met, and some of you I haven't seen since the last Atlanta Grill Company event. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Uh, those of you that are coming in from out of town, if any of you that are listening are coming in from out of town that I put a little chat group together on Facebook where I've got some of you who are coming in from out of town. We're going to have a little dinner get together on Friday night before the event on Saturday. And if you would like to be a part of that, hook up with me on Facebook so I can get you in this group, because we're going to a restaurant and we're going to need to make a reservation for a number of people that we're going to have coming in. So hook up with me so I can get you in that group and get you in my head count if you're interested in having dinner with us at a really nice oyster and seafood place. What was the name of that place, Jeff? It's escaping me here at the moment.
Hang on. I'll bring it up here.
Well, I can pull it up in the chat. It's
Where'd it go?
It is.
Dang.
I just posted a link to it here in the group. Hugo's Oyster Bar
Hugo's.
is what it's called.
Yep.
So if you look up Hugo's Oyster Bar in Roswell, Georgia, that's where we're planning to have dinner. Eric suggested that last week, and I had a look at it today and talked with our little group, and everybody seems to think, yeah, that's great. I talked to Gary down at Atlanta Grill Company and invited them, and I told him I needed a head count, and he's going to get that for me, because I think a couple of the Atlanta Grill Company folks may come have dinner with us that Friday night there as well. So love to have you. You know, if you're coming in from out of town, let me know.
Yep.
I want to personally hook up with anybody, you know, that's coming from out of town to this event, that's making a trip or staying overnight or whatnot. Let me know who you are. Let me know where you are so I can. Yeah, Beth's coming in. I'm really looking forward to meeting Beth. I was actually hoping to have met Beth already, but my wife and I haven't managed to make that zoo trip into Ohio that we're going to do. We're going to get that in this summer or in early fall, Beth. We've talked about it again. Tanya and I are planning a road trip up into Maine and Vermont specifically, and I might swing out and back down through there on the way home from that event. Just it may be a whirlwind trip, but I don't know. It may be, because I've also promised somebody in Boston that I'm going to stop through there, either going up or coming down as well. So I got friends, because of social media, guys. I've got friends. I got friends everywhere. Jeff, you know how that works out.
Yeah, buddy.
It's yeah, I'd love to get to Australia sometime. I'd love to get to Europe sometime. I've met so many amazing people through social media and made so many great connections with just amazing folks, and all you guys, especially you guys who come here on Friday night. I'd love to meet all of you. Yeah, Rick's asking about Zwilling. I think Zwilling was the other line that was in that list. I don't know if Zwilling and Kramer are one and the same or partnered. I know Bob Kramer. Bob Kramer makes hand forged knives, or really custom shop stuff. But I think there may be a Kramer named line that may be produced by Zwilling. So I don't know. I'm hoping to learn that. I have not made it into Atlanta Grill Company. I was going to go down there last Friday, but my trip got canceled because the plans that I needed, the connection I needed to make while I was down there didn't happen. So I was not able to get down there. So I will not be back down there until I go to meet Jeff down there right before this event. So I'm excited about the additional knife lines they're bringing in. I've got some Zwilling knives here. The first chef's knife and paring knife that I bought that were high quality were Zwilling Pro, and I've still got both of those, and I still use both of them. They're incredibly good knives. They're European, German style, not German steel great stuff. It's really great stuff. It doesn't have the wow factor and the beauty and the eye catching factor that the Damascus type steel blades do on the Schuns, but they're workhorses, and they're they're European geometry instead of Asian geometry, and there's a whole big difference there. The cut's different. I I love the Asian geometry, but I love the weight and feel of the European, and I haven't found I haven't found a
In
Jeff.
between.
Yeah, who's got the mesh of the two that Johnny's gonna like? I haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
I haven't found the perfect knife for me. When I find it, everything else I've got, I'll throw it away and I'll use it. I don't care where it comes from. When I find the one that's the shape I want and fits my hand and has that in between geometry and has a steel composition that's not too brittle and not too soft, I'm going to be extremely happy. So, all right, guys, I got to get out of here. I'm going to call it a day. Jeff, thanks for hanging out with me. We'll be
Yep.
back next Friday night. Uh, Currently, I haven't, I talked about having the Naked Wiz on here about to have a charcoal conversation. And if I can get him here, we're going to do that. I'd really like to do that. But if that doesn't happen, I want to do next week. I want to talk about homemade rubs. So watch for my post on next week's live stream, because if I decide to do the how to make a homemade rub, I'm going to give you a list of things you're going to want to have with you during the live stream, because we'll walk through the process of making a homemade barbecue rub. And there's only a handful of ingredients you're going to need, but you're going to make it to taste, and you're going to make notes as you go to figure out how much you put in, because you're going to make it to taste. You're going to make a homemade rub that you like. So that's next week. That's what I'd like to talk about. Jeff, you game for a homemade rub next week?
Oh yeah. I always like
Yep.
making rubs.
Okay. Yeah, you don't need but a little bit of stuff to make a great homemade barbecue rub. So, all right, let's wrap it up, guys. I appreciate it, and we'll hopefully see you here next week.